So let's just jump right into it. What actually happens when a country tries to project this big image of power and influence, but behind the scenes, its economy is just about to fall off a cliff? Today, we're going to dig into that huge gap between the image a nation wants you to see and the cold, hard economic truth, all through a pretty incredible case study.
And this quote, wow, this just perfectly captures the whole problem, doesn't it? It's such a sharp, accurate summary of the story we're about to unpack. A story that's really a warning about pretending to be something you just can't afford to be.
All right, so our story really kicks off with this massive diplomatic failure. I want you to picture this. It's April 2026. We're at the Serena Hotel in Islamabad, Pakistan. It's supposed to be this huge event to show off the country's strength, but, well, it's about to turn into a masterclass in national embarrassment. And the contrast here is just staggering. I mean, look at the image Pakistan was trying to sell. They wanted to be seen as a global peace broker, right? A country with enough pull to get major rivals like the US and Iran to sit down together. But the reality? They couldn't even pay the hotel bills for their guests. We're talking tea, coffee, a place to sleep. The absolute basics were at risk.
And make no mistake, this wasn't just some tiny little accounting error. No. The source material puts it perfectly. The government's credibility was literally being auctioned off, right there in the hotel hallways. It was a public, totally humiliating announcement of national bankruptcy for every single diplomat to see with their own eyes. But believe it or not, while this whole embarrassing drama was unfolding in the hotel, an even bigger crisis was brewing. Something that was about to hit the nation's finances and turn a really bad situation into a total catastrophe. Let's call it the $3.5 billion heart attack. And that heart attack, it had a price tag. $3.5 billion. That's the massive amount of money that the United Arab Emirates, one of Pakistan's oldest and closest allies, suddenly demanded they pay back. And they wanted it now. This chart really shows you just how big of a deal this was. That $3.5 billion wasn't just some number. It was a whopping 21% of Pakistan's entire foreign currency reserves. I mean, just try to imagine losing more than a fifth of your country's entire savings account in one go. The source uses this incredible metaphor, calling it akin to a heart attack for any country's economy. Now, of course, Pakistan tried to play it cool, saying it was just a routine transaction. But come on, everyone could see what was really happening. Even its closest friends were losing faith and calling in their debts. So here's the most important part. This wasn't some random one-off event. What this crisis really did was expose a very old and completely unsustainable national strategy. It's a pattern that's become known as the begging bowl strategy.
It's a cycle that's just become totally predictable. As the source says, when the house is on fire and the vault is empty, Pakistan falls back on its oldest trick. It's almost like a reflex at this point, the default way of dealing with financial collapse. And let's break down how it works, because it's tragically simple. Step 1, the country faces total financial ruin. Step 2, it goes out with that begging bowl, knocking on the doors of its so-called masters, first asking Beijing and then Riyadh for another loan, another bailout, just keep what the source calls the sinking ship afloat for a little bit longer. You know, there's actually a term for this kind of economic model. It's called a rentier state. And this is a really key idea from our source. It describes a nation that basically trades its strategic location for money, for rent, you could say. But it just can't, or maybe won't, act like a responsible, independent country that builds a real, sustainable economy. So, what's the big lesson in all of this? Well, it all circles back to our main theme, the mirage of grandeur. Let's try to pull all these pieces together and figure out the powerful ultimate takeaway. And the takeaways are crystal clear. First off, diplomacy without a strong economy to back it up, it's just a performance. It's an empty show. Second, that huge gap between image and reality, it doesn't make a country look strong. It just paints it as unstable and unreliable for the whole world to see. Third, having grand ambitions without the money to pay for them, well, that just leads to global embarrassment. And finally, this whole story is a huge lesson for any nation that's dreaming a little too big for its wallet. And that leaves us with one last, really important question to think about. When a nation's grand image and its grim reality drift this far apart, which one do you think is going to be the one to eventually collapse?